One. We are recording. Oh, fuck, wrong button. No, we're recording. Saturday, June 4th, 2020. 4:20 or no, 2022. Jesus Christ. The concussion's still there, apparently. 4:21 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, sorry, we were just talking about how aren't we all the great Satan? White, blue eyes, Christian, American, not ashamed of being heterosexual. But and yeah, isn't it absurd that the people screaming punch a Nazi are now for the literal, I mean, not even in the sense that no one uses the word correctly anymore, literally, but I mean the Webster's definition of literally supporting Nazis. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, I literally breathe oxygen. There are literal photons coming out of these lights. They are literally funding and arming Nazis to the point where you almost want to stop pointing out the hypocrisy, and then you just start questioning reality yourself. You go, is this a simulation? Like, is this a fucking... Hey, introduce yourself real quick for all the new...
Yeah, all right.
Really.
Before I go off on my Slava Ukraini Sieg Heil thing all at once, I'm Joe Dolio, the author of the Tactical Wisdom series. You can find me at tactical-wisdom.com. I've got a series of books to help people get a little more prepared, mostly physically, but also a little bit spiritually for the tough times that are ahead. And you can get the books either on Amazon or at my website. You get them faster from Amazon, but you get them signed from me.
Ooh, I'll put all that stuff in the description, as well as your Twitter. And no, like I said, don't worry, you're not going to be locked in the basement. It's just on the pleb. He's the only one.
Well, and I want to address that because the understanding I have is that not only is Don locked in the basement, but he's wearing a leather thong at the same time. So is there any truth to that rumor? Or
listen, there are rumors, there are disinformation, and as a member of the national security state, I can neither confirm nor deny the existence and or the material of such hypothesized thongs that will probably be declassified around 2070. But I'm not taking any more questions, and thank you.
That's fair. That's fair. Perfectly fair.
To give that Global response.
So I keep this patch handy. For it's Saint Olga of the in-laws, right? For when people start saying things like you're a Nazi. Oh wait, bro, I'm a Ukrainian Nazi. I'm cool.
It's cool.
I'm okay.
Yeah, it is cool. Is that a javelin or a law?
Actually, this is a javelin. But,
yeah, I was gonna say, you fucking lying son of a bitch.
Yeah, well, I have been known to stretch a truth or two.
Well, I was permanently banned from YouTube about a year ago for interviewing Dr. Mullen and Dr. McCullough multiple times. So I'm literally guilty of misinformation or disinformation, which, as a side note, Rogan had Dr. McCullough on in November 2021. He had Dr. Malone on in December 2021. I had them both on 6 months prior, and I did not get any of the PR flack. I did not. There's no such thing as bad PR. I did not get called out by the White House. There was no slandering campaign against me, and I'm very upset. I just got banned.
I think that when we get done here, I will get on Twitter and I will slander you and
thank you.
I mean, I'm just all about trying to make you feel better, bro.
Thank you. That's all I need.
So yeah, we were talking about the hypocrisy of people who have been calling literally everything Nazis. Then all of a sudden they go blind when we start talking about Ukraine. And, they say, well, but we're arming people fighting Russia, bro. Yeah. When in history has that not worked out? Like when we helped that young man named Osama bin Laden and armed him in his fight against the Russians.
Hey, he was a freedom fighter. He was a freedom fighter, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, the jihadis were, the mujahideen were good boys who didn't do nothing wrong until they decided to fly a few planes into a few buildings.
No, those were just some people that did something. Was it Operation Cyclone? Was that what the arming them was?
It was something.
I think it was Operation Cyclone, and then when we armed what would later become ISIS, that was Operation Sycamore Timber. All those.
I would like, speaking of that, someone to show me the legal authorization for U.S. presence in Syria at all.
Well, it's Title 50, right? And I'm not saying it's legal, but isn't that what the whole CIA Special Activities Division was? Is that it was separate from the DoD?
Yeah, but the minute that we set U.S. Marines who were there first in Syria, we violated the law. So if you remember back in history, way back in history, all the way back to the days of Obama, the man who shall not be named, who's actually the president today, he kept saying, "There's no troops in Syria. There's no troops in Syria," and the Syrians are like, "Yeah, there's literally troops in Syria." And he's like, "No, there's no troops in Syria." Then there was video of a Marine convoy flying an American flag in Syria. He's like, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, there probably are troops in Syria." Imagine if Donald Trump did all that.
It begs the question, though: is the president really in charge? I mean, and that's kind of one of the old, the president's not in charge and there are lizards on the moon. Okay, yeah, I get it, and like I always kind of brush that one off because there are so many real conspiracies. There's so many like provable conspiracies that you don't need to get like lost in the absurdity. But I mean,
if you believe that the president is in charge, Donald Trump's presidency should have disabused you of that notion, because the man literally said, "We're withdrawing from Syria," and U.S. military said, "Nah, actually, no, we're not," and we didn't. So the president was not. The president doesn't have the power that people believe he has.
I think Trump's and as like a Trump voter, Trump's administration kind of pulled the veil back from my eyes more than anything, to where I went, he's really not in charge, which is a weird thing to say because it's so fun to shit on Obama and Biden, but you also, at the expense of not being a hypocrite, like, punch a Nazi then supporting Nazis, we would then have to, would we not, to be fair, would we not have to expand some leeway?
Except for this, and I'm going to tell you why. Barack Obama is essentially, if you look at his character, he's essentially a fictitious person, right? So nobody ever heard of this guy till he was 40 years old. Then all of a sudden, he's the greatest thing, right? He may be Jesus's cousin. We're not even sure.
We haven't fact-checked it yet,
but the point is that from that moment, he's been in charge of this country no matter what. The entire time that Donald Trump was president, let's be honest, the deep state reported to Barack Obama in his second White House that he had built in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, the command
and that's literally who's in charge now under with Biden. And every policy that you see is just a continuation of Obama's. So I think that he's a creature of the deep state, and therefore the deep state is who's really in charge. And again, like you said, the Donald Trump presidency pulled that veil back, right? It obviously is there.
Do you think that it's Obama, or do you think Obama is a figurehead? Because my logic is, and if you can't tell already, I always play devil's advocate because I have to constantly sort of, like stretching, I always have to sort of try to prove my own self wrong, because I feel like otherwise my brain will become calcified and then I will become the retard saying punch a neo-Nazi, Slava Ukraine. And like, so I have to,
I think that's what Alex Jones wants you to do, bro.
Yeah. So even though I don't agree with anything I'm about to say, I have to continually try to, because otherwise we're just sitting here jerking each other off saying Trump good, Obama bad, and there's whatever.
Oh, there's plenty of Trump bad. Don't.
Yeah. No, exactly. But exactly. And then when we'll do that. But so my point is, well, then is Obama, because I look at like Klaus Schwab, and it's almost too good, right? Evil, balding German eugenicist.
I mean, seriously, if you had to pick a master villain,
but that's what I mean.
Movie.
So then you have to start to look at it and go, is this too simple? It's like when you like leave the crates of ammo and the Viet Cong pick it up, but then after a while they start to realize some of the rounds are blowing up in the gun. So when you just see the crate, when you just see the guy that comes up to you, like I got an email, I think sometime in 2020, it was this dude that was like, "Yo, love your interviews with the Delta Force guys. Have you ever thought about actually like kind of like organizing and getting into action?" And I just said, I remember responding, "Is the like sent from my iPhone?" I said, "Sent from Quantico?" ? And I didn't get a response. Sometimes it just glows so much.
You're like, "Agent Johansson, what are you talking about?"
I was like, "What's up, dude? Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching the podcast." But like, no, I said, "Fuck off." But like, so you look at Klaus, right? Tutored under Henry Kissinger, just created the World Economic. No one's ever been able to take over the world. Not Alexander the Great, not Napoleon, not Genghis Khan. But this guy just created the World Economic Forum and said, I'm gonna take over the world. A balding German eugenicist wearing leather. It's so absurd that you have to pause and go, is this the email from Quantico? It's
Right.
too right. So when I see
Yeah.
Obama and I go, there's just one guy running the whole thing, my spidey senses go, no, that's too easy. It's a target for to aim our hatred at when it's probably a decentralized aggregate of intelligence agencies, defense contractors, think
Yeah, I
tanks,
would agree with that
and research
wholeheartedly. Yeah.
laboratories, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know
It's
what I'm
sort of a
talking about.
collaboration, like MI5, MI6, CIA, all these
Yeah.
different organizations together, Whitehall, all of that, because as I've mentioned before, even Barack Obama himself is an aggregate person.
Yeah.
They found a figurehead to take all of these great qualities they wanted to have. The immigrant story, the raised by his grandparents story, every possible story and
First
angle
black
is rolled into
president.
him.
Yeah.
And so then the Klaus Schwab's thing, I think is a hat tip to the people on the right? So like, oh, you want a guy to hate? We're going to get you like the stereotypical James Bond villain, and we're going to make him a figurehead to make you look even crazier, right? Because you're like, look at this guy. He's so outrageous. He couldn't possibly really be the bad guy. But he literally is.
He is
But
the bad guy.
he's the face of the bad guys. It's all PR. But I gotta tell you, I mean, as much as we want to make fun of the Alex Joneses of the world, and
I got to
I'm
meet
not gonna-
Alex. I got to meet Alex Jones over New Year's Eve. I don't make fun of him. I think he's fucking awesome.
No, that's what I was just about to say. Is that we like to make fun of him, but the dude has like never been wrong. And I met some of the members of his security detail doing some details for some other people, but seriously, the guy hasn't been proven wrong. And as much as you want to make fun of him, these things are coming true. And there's no other explanation for where we are today and the steps that we're taking as a government to attempt to resolve the crisis that are actually just making it worse. Like on my way home today, I was disgusted when I went by a place that said $5.19 a gallon for regular gasoline. Then I turned onto my street, and at the corner, the gas station at the corner is $5.25 a gallon. And there's literally no explanation for it other than trying to foment some sort of a worldwide crisis, because we could solve this problem tomorrow and we just don't.
Yeah,
So,
that's kind of another thing about the Trump administration pulling back the veil is you saw, how do I word this? It's like so I remember like in college, like the first time, it sounds retarded, but it was like the first time in I guess years that I had gotten a good night's sleep. It was like my sophomore year. I just started getting serious about school. And I remember I was like, I feel great. And I started exercising a lot, started lifting weights in the morning, stopped drinking alcohol, stopped smoking weed. And it was just, and I just got 4.0s for 6 straight semesters and got into medical school. But I remember what was insane was the first month was like, this feels awesome. And then it was the realization of like, this is what I could have always been. I was just choosing not to. I was just being a fat, stupid shit, drinking beer on a Monday and wondering why I felt like shit on a Tuesday. But it's the absurd realization that you always have that potential. That was the weird thing about the Trump administration, for all of its flaws, and it had many, was that you saw this. It wasn't that he was a miracle worker. It wasn't that I was some guru. It's just all of a sudden I was like, I just stopped drinking and smoking pot and I felt better and I got a good night's sleep and started reading and meditating. He didn't do magic. He just stopped fucking over the nation. And what the Trump administration wasn't the beauty of Trump, as much as a Trump supporter as I am. It was just a dude that wasn't actively involved with the implosion of the empire. And that's what's so red pilling, is you go, oh, it's not that things are bad. Things are inherently good, but we're perpetually, and by we, I mean the elite of this country, have been perpetually demolishing it since, I don't know, early 2000s. Maybe you could even argue back to the 70s.
I think that the 70s was probably more of a preparatory phase for where we are now. I believe that there was entirely a well thought out, structured plan that both sides of the uniparty, which is what the truth is, we're going to have, and how that's exposed. And I was not a Trump guy in 2016,
No,
but how
neither
that's
was I. I didn't vote
exposed.
to him until 2020.
Well, I voted. I held my nose and voted Libertarian. But here's the thing: it was exposed the moment he won that nomination because he was never supposed to.
Yeah.
And everyone, even the Republican Party, went absolutely nuts, and it just got worse from there. Um, they didn't expect him to get as many votes as they did, and it kind of upset the whole apple cart, and it kind of threw their entire plan back by 4 years, which is why you see COVID and why you see them trying to play catch up right now. And I'm not saying there's lizard people, and I'm not saying there's all of this, but I'm saying that there has been for the last 20 years a group of people, not just George Soros, but George Soros and the Klaus Schwab and all these other people have said the one impediment to getting a socialist regime over the entire world is the United States of America. And what better way to take it down than what we're seeing right now? We're going to bring us, we're not going to destroy the country, but we're going to bring it down to the same level as the rest of the world to get rid of that arrogance and get rid of that ultra readiness and make America just one of the boys. And that'll get us on their side. I can't think of another reason to be expending every single piece of ammunition and high-tech weaponry that we have in our armories by giving them to literal Nazis.
Deplete the armories, use the oil reserve. You're emptying out the base. You're getting rid of, burning all the gas in the cars, firing the ammunition.
We got rid of everyone in the military who was potentially loyal to the Constitution of the United States.
The purge, yeah.
And we've lowered our readiness with everything that we've done since then. And if you look at this straight Ukraine Russia thing, I know that everyone likes to pretend that is the struggle for freedom in the world. Neither country was free to begin with. Ukraine is not a free country. Ukraine is not a democracy. I'll remind everyone with another short history lesson that in 2014,
CIA funhouse.
That in 2014 we toppled the democratically elected government and replaced it with what you have now in the Ukraine. So it's not a fight for democracy. We're in fact, once he got his powers of war, he immediately banned all opposition parties in the Ukraine and pretty much made himself the only candidate for every office. I mean, seriously, he banned all political opposition. And immediately went around with his stormtroopers. So it doesn't make sense to expend every single piece of armament we have on this struggle. It is actually a border struggle between two countries that have always had border problems, and we're making it a bigger deal than it is. Why? You have to ask yourself why. Well, because their entire Russia thing has been exposed for the fraud that it is, and the only way to revive it is to end up in a shooting war with Russia. And that's the ultimate goal here.
Yeah. It's like the comedian Ray Kump said. He goes, because there's only so many times you can see some ancient Middle Eastern ruin getting blown up by a scud before people don't give a shit anymore. He goes, this is some marquee. This is white people. They look like us.
And that's it, right? That's the whole thing. Yeah. There's white people who look like us. In the background, there's a Starbucks. There's a McDonald's over there.
Not caves, apartment blocks.
Yeah.
You go, hey, I recognize that. That's not some cave and we're wearing a turban. You go, that looks like my house. Yeah.
And then they decided, man, only problem is way too many white people in this. Let's send over Malcolm Nance. So there's a black guy there.
There we go.
And so now you have Malcolm Nance walking around.
It's such a shitty reboot too. They're trying to paint it as the Lend-Lease, like he's this FDR. You know, we're facing like the interminable. No. The Germans were actually a reasonable threat. They were ahead of their nuclear program was ahead of ours. The Japanese were actually vicious and actually attacked us at Pearl Harbor. They're trying to paint it as like it's World War III, like we are the men. No, we're not. We are so comically overpowered, and this is so insignificant. This isn't, well, we're gonna start giving ships to Britain, and if the U-boats come after us, well, then we're gonna no, it's us going, hey, what's happening over there? I don't know. Let's go talk shit. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go start
Yeah,
throwing
that's
money.
exactly
Hey,
it.
pussy. Like that's what we're doing. But they're trying to make Biden just look like they're trying to resurrect this like 1940s, like we're all in it together, stand for it. And it's like,
I'll point out that after Lend-Lease was initiated in the 40s, we were fully in the war in less than 6 months.
Yeah.
So there is a solution there. And I'll also remind everyone that Russia's about to start pulling out of caves a bunch of Lend-Lease stuff we gave them in the 40s. So
and didn't we also really start really sanctioning Japan, which kind of culminated in Pearl Harbor?
well, it was a gas, I
Yeah,
believe
it
it
was
was a
embargo.
gas embargo that caused Pearl Harbor. So
I guess there's a
history repeats itself.
I guess nothing is repeating here. Arming
Yeah,
one side,
right.
calling it Lend-Lease, talking shit. Everyone saying their kid couldn't possibly be another war.
This is what's crazy. It's just there's no way to contain this within the Ukraine, and I'm actually surprised that it's been relatively contained. Even Russia has said, "Listen, if you continue to supply arms, there's no way we can contain this," because they're implying they're going to hit Poland because of all of the arms that are transshipping through Poland. What I think was the best, and bear with me for a minute, because I want to tell a little story because it exposes the fraud that is the United States of America. So early in this war, we had a whole bunch of arguments about these MiGs that are sitting in Poland. Poland had a bunch of MiG-21s and MiG-29s that they had from when they were a Soviet client state. So the war begins, and Ukraine is literally getting its butt handed to them, and they needed those planes. And we came out and said, well, we're just going to tell Poland to send them. And Poland was like, nah, bro, I ain't about to do that. Because if I do that, Russia's going to punch me in my eye, and I don't want to do that. So it kind of goes back and forth for a couple of weeks. And finally, Poland was like, all right, you want to try to force us into this? Here's what we'll do. We'll ship the planes to you, and you can get them to Ukraine. And our State Department at first was like, yeah, sure. But then the Department of Defense was like, we can't do that. If we do that, Russia's going to smoke a mid-Atlantic, and we're going to be in a war. And so it kind of exposed all of our bluster, because we backed off after that. When Poland said, we'll give the planes to you, but I'm not doing it. And that kind of exposed that we were just pretty much bragging. But we actually don't want to fight Russia, because Russia's the only country who still believes that you can win a nuclear war. And it's a pretty bad idea to go toe to toe with them.
There is, mutual assured destruction in some ways is the most beneficial thing to ever happen to the warring ape species, because like you can't bluff anymore. Like you can't just go like, we're gonna go just raise your country to the ground. Like you can't just say fuck it, we're gonna go burn Germany to the ground, we're gonna go firebomb every city you have in Japan, because there is a reasonable counterattack. And it's we can't just fuck around. It's not, we don't have 10 times as many poker chips as we used to. We have like twice as many. We're still bigger. One bad move, and it's now, instead of 2-1, it's now 1.5 to 1.5. It's not, we're not sitting there with a mound of poker chips like we were in like the 50s, or really after Soviet Union fell, 90s. We're sitting there with this Cold War machinery, from continuity of government to just readiness to space-based defense to everything. And now we have like Serbia, and we have Desert Storm. We're not sitting there anymore. It's a bipolar world at best, us and China, and then tripolar if you really want to bring in the nukes of Russia. And then if you just start bringing in nukes, well, then you could say India, Pakistan, France, UK. In a way, it's also pretty stabilizing now.
It is. But on the flip side, we've made ourselves over reliant on the flow of electrons. So if I was a malign state actor, like say Russia or China, and I wanted to harm the United States or the United Kingdom, either one, the easiest thing I could do is turn off their power, which you can do literally from space, and you can do it without causing any physical damage to anything.
EMP.
Yeah, and that's gonna cause so much suffering and loss that we would beg for Chinese peacekeepers to come in and try and restore order, which coincidentally might actually be part of China's total war strategy. So we have to think about that. And here's my thing. You and me and everyone else listening to this, we don't have the ability to impact what the decision makers do. We don't. We pretend like we do through our representative democracy that we have here. Not a democracy, representative republic where we elect people to represent us. We don't have the ability to impact their day-to-day decisions, though. So all that we can do, and that's where my website and my books come in, is prepare for the second and third order effects of whatever they do, which is having no power, having no food, having no water. We're halfway to having no food right now, and a lot of people don't realize it. So there was a 1-2 punch that happened that's got people not realizing how bad the food crisis really is. The first one was COVID, which gave us an excuse for everything. Oh, you want to close the restaurant early? COVID. You want to give bad service at your business? Just say COVID and it's okay. Like, have you gone to a restaurant lately? The waitresses, they're not very friendly because COVID. You know, everything has gotten so that nobody cares. But it also got people to order groceries through online services, right? Getting home delivery for your groceries. Where that has kind of pulled the wool over Americans' eyes is now a lot of people are not going to the grocery store and seeing what it looks like. And I go every week, even if I'm just going to look, and seeing the limit 4 signs on pasta. Did you ever think in a million years in the United States of America there would be a limit on the amount of spaghetti you can buy? But there is. Limits on chicken, limits on beef, limits on pork, limits on things like noodles and rice. I was at a Meijer store here, which is like a local grocery chain, and there was 2 bags of beans and 2 bags of rice limit. So these are just things that no one ever thought would happen in America, but they are. So
when I think about what's going on, though, things always do get worse, and the idea that like we're at this exception now. Like there's like a meme I remember seeing back in like February, and it was like a picture of like suburbia, and it was like, this is an anomaly. And it was like, then it showed like men and like, you know, like taking cover behind the tanks, and it was like, this is the norm. And the thing is it is.
That is really absolutely true. I've been telling people this for years now, right? When I teach a class, I'm like, all of this you see is the bubble. The rest of the world is conflict, and that's the way it is. The Balkans is reality. Mexico is reality.
Yeah.
And we like to pretend that Mexico isn't a failed state, but it totally and completely is.
Just right next to us. We just, we kind of just
literally right.
We go look at all those cartels just beheading people and using drones to attack one another. Good thing it's all the way down there at just
Mexico.
You go, it's like the same. You can't have that mindset and then simultaneously think that Cuba was a threat during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like,
right?
Don't worry, guys. Those multi-megaton warheads, they're down in Cuba.
That's not even a big deal. So
they're just
I use Mexico as an example, and people argue with me all the time. Like, no, Mexico's not a failed state. Yeah, things are rough and there's drug trafficking, but it's not a failed state. I'm like, really? They went to arrest Guzman's son, El Chapo's son, and when they arrested him, the cartel just decided to destroy the city. And engaged in combat for 2 days with the police. And guess what happened? The Mexican government essentially surrendered. They said, listen, we're going to give you the town. We're going to let him out of jail. We're not going to pursue him anymore.
Sounds like
that's a failed state. I mean, seriously.
What was BLM in June 2020?
The exact same thing. And people don't believe me on that. And I'm going to be honest right here. This was a Trump failure. The minute that those people in Seattle declared an autonomous zone, you declare an insurrection, you send in federal troops, and you kill everyone who opposes you. And seriously,
no, but really, and that doesn't just. I mean, if the fucking Proud Boys set up an area,
same thing.
No, you cannot do it, because the second you have a no-go zone, like in Sweden, you've lost. You have showed your belly, you have showed your neck, you have put your balls between your leg and said, okay, sorry, I won't do that. At a certain, you can't be a totalitarian, overreaching fascist police state. But there's also a spot where you have to go, dude, this is where the rubber hits the road. You cannot come here.
And those guys did. When you declare that you're no longer part of the United States and you're something separate, I don't
Then
care
fucking
who you
Waco
are.
it. If you're gonna do a Waco,
Waco
apply
that.
it equally.
Yeah, right.
You know, if you're gonna Waco and Ruby Ridge, then you also got a Chaz or Chop, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, where are the tanks with the flamethrower barrels on that? Where are the
Make
M60?
Waco great again.
Make Waco, Jesus Christ. Waco, Seattle, Waco, Chaco, Chaz, I don't know. But like, that is where we are.
And that's what spawned an entire, that more than what happened in Minneapolis spawned more and more protests, because people were like, oh, they did that. I'm doing that shit too. And so they did it down in Atlanta, and they did it in several other places. And in Detroit, when they tried it, ironically, Chief Craig put an end to it within 25 minutes, and they never tried it again. That's the whole point, right? You make it so punitive that they're like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Well, yeah, you chop off one of the chickens' heads in front of the other chickens, and they all stop misbehaving. But then you have them like torching limos during Trump's inauguration.
Yeah.
But you only pursue January 6th with the FBI. So they've made it very clear that there are lines you can't cross. You can't have a Chaz for pro-Trump people. That will be hit with a JDAM. Yeah. You can't do that. You can't. We won't have borders. The DHS will operate drones or Reapers and Predators. It won't be for the border, though. It will be for the Disinformation Governance Board.
Right. So January 6th, to me, the fact that those people are still sitting in jail, first of all, is an absolute travesty and should not be allowed to stand. It just should not. And as citizens, we should be doing something about it. And I'm not going to say what, because I don't need Agent Jansen at my door. But I'm just saying we should not be standing for it. And that's what the Constitution is written about. But on the other hand, the entire intent from the government of the January 6th prosecutions, they don't care about those people they have in custody in Washington, D.C. It's about the rest of you. They wanted to say, look what happened to these guys. And that's why they're still in solitary. That can happen to you if you start meeting and organizing and we don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's why we want to have 50 field offices of the U.S. Capitol Police. And I think we started to forget it. And that's why yesterday, magically out of nowhere, you have a man from Michigan being arrested at the Capitol with a BB gun and some ammunition and body armor. And he's in custody, and they're claiming he's a militia member. No one in Michigan has ever heard of this guy. And when that gets called out that, hey, nobody knows this guy, they go, oh, well, he's a retired New York cop and he just moved there. Yeah, but you first said a Michigan man, not a New York man who now lives in Michigan. So the whole thing, again, I don't want to put on the tinfoil hat, but I do have some tinfoil nearby. You
don't need to say the tinfoil. You can say whatever the fuck you want. What they're doing is they're using undercover federal agents to invoke violence so that they can crack back down with the arm of the. I mean, you look at Patriot Front. There is nothing more absurd than Patriot Front. Not just the matching. I don't have matching socks. Well, I do, but I throw them all in the drawer together. So I don't have matching socks, but they all have matching khakis, windbreakers, the same fucking face shield. But I think the best thing, I think it was Rogan that pointed it out. He goes, just look at the BMI. You cannot
match that.
Not just even Republicans, even crazy socialists. There's
always
always a fat fuck somewhere. There's always a fat fuck somewhere. Just on you cannot have the meme of Cletus with my gun and my belly hanging out. You can't have that and then have all these fucking like shaved head twinks watching around going, the only way that they're all going to have the same uniform body is if they're like, I don't know, regularly subjected to some sort of physical test in a kind of uniform thing across the field, like an agency.
Well, here's the thing. If you take a look at what they wear and compare it to what is issued at the federal law enforcement training center.
Those fucking faggots, dude. They're the Patriot Front walking around, and the videos, America pride. They're like, Sieg Heil. And it's like, dude,
well, have you seen the alleged leaked video where it's like 4 of them after that last event and they're sitting around and they're making a video with their little masks on and their hats. And at the end, they're like, we're going to fight for America. And then they go, is the video off? The video's off. And they all stand up, but no one takes off a mask. and then they all start Sieg Heiling and
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
and
you
then
hear when
walk
they go,
off.
"Are we done? Is that a wrap?"
Yeah.
Sieg fucking Heil. You know who says that? Me and my white friends in high school, when we're drunk and we're all around and we're saying the words we're not allowed to say, we're like, "Hey, N-word, the T." That's like when you're in middle school and mom's not around. You're like, boobs, tits. Like that's what it is. There's nothing. If you actually wanted to do something, you wouldn't say a fucking word about it. You wouldn't put it on video.
Yeah.
And no. But we're all together. Hey, Joe, is the video off? I think it's time that we go do the operation. You know where? Isn't that weird how after that video came out of Tommy and Joe, they thought they were finished recording. The FBI now had blanket reason to use NSA surveillance taps on everybody. I mean,
shocking.
I mean, come on. I mean, sorry.
Now I know you've had my friend Mike Shelby on here before. And actually, Shelby and I had a disagreement over Patriot Front, and in the end, it turns out that I was right. He pointed out that he's been following. He pointed out that he's been following Patriot Front forever because I called it a straight up fed up.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Yeah, Mark, I know you have, but that doesn't mean they haven't been taken over." And he's like, "Yeah, but you've seen the work I've done over years." I'm like, "Yeah, bro," and that's where they found out about it, and that's where they decided to overtake it. It wasn't really a disagreement, just like I'm like. Yes, Patriot Front was a real thing, but it's not anymore. It's been taken over by feds, and they're doing it.
Yeah, it's not always. If ever. I mean, sometimes started from the get go as a fed thing. It's much easier to just co-opt it. You don't.
And so look at the quality of people between when Mike first started talking about them. I don't know, 7-8 years ago. You had that variation in how they looked to now when. Literally, they're all wearing the same thing. If I called up 20 of my friends and I said, "Listen, we're all going to show up somewhere, and I want everyone to wear a green shirt like this one," we're going to have probably 15 different green shirts out of those 20 people.
If I did that, I'd have 15 friends saying Tommy's been turned.
Well,
they'd block by number.
They all showed up in the exact same thing. What are the odds?
And there's there's video of the cops stopping traffic so they can all get in the back of a U-Haul.
Oh,
you seen that one?
And here's another point. Why would a cop allow you to transport people in the back of a U-Haul, which is illegal?
Well, they do it every day across the southern border, so what does it matter?
Well, I suppose that's true.
I mean,
but seriously, it's illegal in every state. Why would they let them load up those people? Right? I mean,
it's just
dumb.
You make it so ridiculous. Like, if I got actual like hate mail or something for this podcast, which I never really do, which is kind of surprising. Maybe it just gets like filtered out, or it's also because I'm banned from YouTube. But like, if I wanted to foment hate mail, it would be so obvious because it wouldn't just be like an organic critique of me and my podcast. It would also be like me, like there'd be like a chip on my shoulder. It'd be like, yeah, his podcast sucks and he's only 5'9". People would be like, is that his podcast sucks and the gap between his two front teeth is really off-putting? You'd be like, hey man, that kind of
that hurts.
They'd be like, dude, just love yourself for who you are. They'd be like, his audio isn't as good as he wants it to be. They'd be like, dude, that's pretty. Versus like, hey, this kid's a fucking faggot, fuck him, he's a white supremacist. I'd be like, well, there you go. That
sounds a little more legit. Yeah,
there you go. But when it's so like some man wanted to attack the kid, all right, I'm not saying there aren't crazy people. There are fucking crazy people. The George Carlin quote, think of how stupid the average person is and realize half are stupid. Think of how crazy like you as an individual are and like just the recesses of your own mind, and then realize that like you are like a pretty sane person. You go, oh wow. Yeah, there are people who go out and do this shit. I'm not saying it's all Fed funded. That being said, it's, okay, an organic terrorist attack is when, someone takes a knife, some jihadi, and goes and stabs 9 people on a subway. That's an organic terror. Even taking a truck and driving it through 86 people in East France. Coordinated things are where it starts to get a little hairy. So when someone goes to the Capitol, and it's not just like someone that's like, get the microchip out of my brain and I'm in love with, Britney Spears. You're like, that guy's nuts and, God have mercy on his brain. But when they're like, fuck this and fuck, and, and this is why I have my new bump stock. And this is why I am totally against like Telegram encryption. You're like, well, that's a little.
That's a little too specific.
You know what? And I don't even ever want to take the Pfizer vax. Ivermectin's for me. And you're like, well, this is. This is, and I listen to exclusively Joe Rogan, and I use rumble.com. You're like, well, this is Tommy sending a hate speech letter to himself.
It's like the guy. Remember the guy they called the Trump bomber? This guy who drove around southern Florida in a truck, just emblazoned with hundreds of Trump stickers that no one ever saw, and he was allegedly mailing bombs to all of these different media figures because Trump said fake news, so I'm going to get him. Yet CNN got video of him 3 different times at 3 different Trump rallies. I'm like, what are the odds that CNN just happened to catch this guy at 3 different rallies and no one ever saw this van driving around? It's too much. So when you and I look at this and we talk about it with our friends, our people are like, man, well, they're not fooling us. They're not fooling us. They're not trying to fool us. Yeah. They're trying to fool the people who already want to believe it.
Yeah.
So you've got a core group of the left out there who already believes that things like Patriot Front are a real thing. Yes, Mike, they're a real thing, but they've been taken over. Let's just move on. Let's move past it. So things like Patriot Front, they already want to believe that exists. They already want to believe that militia members in Michigan want to kidnap their governor, which literally they didn't. It was the FBI who did, and all of that. So it all goes crazy. Oh, and by the way, speaking of that, yesterday we have another guy arrested in Wisconsin, or he's dead, I guess. A guy in Wisconsin who killed a judge, and they say, oh, but he was a militia member and he intended to kill the governor.
What? Was
that before or after he killed himself that he was going to kill the governor? Because he killed himself. So they said that he had this whole plan. So you might not have heard this story, but so yesterday morning, they get a call of shots fired at a judge's house. They get to the judge's house. Judge is dead. They start clearing the house, find this guy in the basement, dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So then they claim, well, the FBI is here and assisting, and they have found a list on him. And his next target was the governor. Okay, but he killed himself. So how would he have had another target? He's writing out his list. I'm going to go shoot this judge. I'm going to get the governor. I'm going to get my ex-wife. But right there between the judge and the governor, and before I get my ex-wife, I'm going to kill myself. It makes no sense. Yet they want you to believe it. Yeah. But again, they're not trying to fool me and you. They're trying to fool people who already want to believe it.
Yeah. And that's what you have to realize. If you're like, you go, oh, it's, they know that you think it and they don't care. It's at the same time, it'd be like, let's think, I don't know. Let's just use like mental exercise. It'd be if some like 19 gendered blue hair woman was caught stuffing ballot boxes, even though I do believe, because I've watched with my own eyes the election stop in 2020 and start going the other direction. There's also a lot of things that we want to believe, right? We'd go, of course it's her. It's the lady with the blue hair who says that she identifies as a fox. So it's, whereas the average person might go, dude, this is clearly a psyop. Guys like you and me might take it hook, line, and sinker. So, but you're right. There are people that they already want to believe, and you're just kind of massaging it slowly. Just
yeah. And it's crazy. So like this operation to kidnap Governor Whitmer, which we're not allowed to talk about in Michigan because it'll get you arrested. Really? But when you actually read the indictments,
you'll get arrested if you talk about it.
Oh, they'll put you on a list for certain if you talk about it in public.
Oh, well, you've been on this podcast, so you're already on the list. And
I'm already, dude, I've been on lists for days. Anyway,
weeks. No. Well, I mean, I figure I'm on so many servers, like the number of like Delta Force guys, and I've had on guys that assembled nuclear weapons. I've had on guys that research nuclear weapons. I've had on B-2 Spirit pilots and nuclear submariners. The only leg of the triad I haven't got are the ICBMs. My logic is like, I'm on so many lists at this point, I have to just lean in.
Well, I'm going to tell you, when you look at the indictment of Stuart Rhodes of the Oath Keepers, who was a Fed all along, and they mentioned that group chat on the day of January 6th, I was in that group chat, just so you know. So I'm already on a list.
Oh, awesome. Well, you're just...
But I made certain that day I was on video in Flint, Michigan, very publicly, nowhere near Washington, D.C. Yeah. Because they didn't take my advice. Weird. Probably because they were led by a Fed.
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Weird.
So on the whole thing here in Michigan, when you read the indictments and you actually look at the backgrounds of these people involved, first of all, not one of them were right wing. Okay. They were all actually left wing. And you know, every one of them participated in BLM marches and BLM protests and all this kind of stuff. And the majority of them, I hate to say this, borderline retarded, right? They're not very smart people. And what happened was, when you read the indictments, the agents and informants sat around and said, hey, man, we should kidnap the governor. And these people just failed to say no. None of them actually agreed. In fact, they raised objections. Well, we don't have the money. FBI guy says, oh, look, I got a bag full of money. Here, you want some money? Here's some money. Here's some money. And they're like, well, you said we need explosives. Yeah, we don't have any explosives. I got a bomb guy. We have to cross state lines to meet him, though. Let's go to Ohio.
He's only 100 yards over the line.
Yeah, literally, they went to Toledo, which is 100 yards over the line.
Gee, I was just making that up. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, like when you get it, and in a group of like 20 people, 12 were informants or agents. So there was no actual plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer without the FBI. There was no plot.
Yeah.
And they're finding that out now.
Yeah.
So.
It's just the ridiculous entrapment. That's just, well, one, I think that's one kind of like built-in safety protocol I have, is just that I have since I've had a cell phone, it's been on like do not disturb. I leave it on airplane mode most of the day, mainly because I'm just, despite my podcast, I'm very antisocial, and I just really, outside of my mom, I don't feel the need to respond to anybody. I just don't. There's no logic. I just fuck off. Yeah. I just kind of like, I'm at peace. And my little side note, just because the technology exists to be contacted, I don't think that it is my responsibility to contact. Because if it was 1800 and you came and knocked on my door at 2 a.m. and the next day said, why didn't you respond? I'd say, next time I'm going to kill you. But if you have a text and someone goes, you didn't respond, you go, fuck off. So I kind of have this like built-in thing of my own like antisocial psychoticism.
Right.
That over the last 15 years, I've just generally never replied to any group chat I'm in. Rarely, if you even read them. So I don't know, maybe you have to do that. Or the next thing is like, every once in a while, I just have to be like, yeah, I don't condone any of this. Fuck all of you. But just do that across the board.
And that's what I put in my book. So like, if anyone wants to join your group or anyone shows up and starts talking about these things, you can't just laugh them off. You have to physically say, hey, I don't want anything to do with you. Go the other direction. Leave me alone.
And that's when I get emails, and when or even on the podcast, some people will be like, I think people will take action. I'll have people comment and say I'm paranoid, but no, I'll pause on the podcast and go, not condoning this. I don't fucking condone this, because I don't know you, Joe. You don't know me. It's just, you're just on my podcast now. Who's Tommy? You don't fucking know shit about me. Yeah. 2 years ago, the podcast, well, it's been a little more than 2 years. Podcast didn't exist. People, and I'd say this, and this is when you can tell someone's real, is when they will go out of their way to also give you that same level of security. When I'll tell people, I'll be like, you don't know me. It is entirely weird that at 29, I just started a podcast, and 2 years later, I'm friends with all these Delta Force guys and guys running for Congress and intelligence officers. You should be wary of that. That is odd. Now, I can justify it and say, well, I have a crazy work ethic from weightlifting to getting into medical school. I just pursue things with the intent of someone that wants to bend the world to achieve their goals, not in a crazy way, but just I'm a driven person. But you should be wary of a white guy with an American flag saying, rah, rah, hey, look at me, guys, I'm banned from YouTube. That should make you wary. But the fact that I'm telling you that should make you wary is also kind of my level of like mutual assured destruction. I'm like, you should be wary of me, right? Assume I say it to everyone. Assume I am a Fed, because I'm assuming you are, and that's just healthy. And I think it's a good like safety protocol.
And you know what? I've got a couple of others that I throw in there with people. I'm like, so somebody calls you and they're like, or somebody contacts you like, hey, I want you to call me at this time. Agree to that, then call them some other time and see how they react. If you really wanted to talk to me, you would just talk to me. If you had something set up where there was going to be recordings and certain conversations, you're going to be upset that I called you at the wrong time. Yeah. That literally happened to me this week, because I do this all the time to test people. Or somebody says, hey, meet me here. You're going to meet with a whole group of people. Change the plan at the last minute and see how they feel. Like for example, I had a guy say, hey, I want to buy some of your books, but I want to meet you in person. I was like, okay. So we set in one location. And then while we were both on the way there, I changed the location to see what the reaction is. If the reaction is absolute panic and no, we need to go to the original location, don't go. That's someone trying to get you in a bad situation. Instead, it's like, yeah, cool, bro, I'll meet you there. Then that's a genuine person. You got to have these things. And it's sad that we have to do that in this society, but that's where we are today.
But it is sad. But at the same time, it's like, and this is the worst justification in the world, because this is what leads to dictatorships. Is like, we have nothing to hide, then why do you care? But to me, at the same time, I'm like, that's the only way to sort of like, it's like disarming yourself, like near a friend. Like, I don't have a gun on me. Like, I know you don't. That's like your sign of trust, right? Little extreme, but like, that's your sign of trust.
Well, that's where handshakes came from, right? To show that my hand was empty.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. So, well, there you go. So that's, again, kind of my logic about even like with this podcast is I just assume that everyone has nefarious intent. And although that's sad, I also assume that you might not have nefarious intent, but one day some federal officer or agency starts to apply pressure to you. And it's not that you want to go along with them or that you, Joe, don't like Tommy. It's, I don't know if you have a family, but they come up to you and they go, hey, let's, we're going to leave you out of jail. You can stay with your wife and kids. Just fuck Tommy. And you're going, I don't hate Tommy, but I love my family. I just assume that at some point, everyone will be turned or everyone's trying to do something against me. So I just kind of blanket approach, fuck off. It's kind of like chemotherapy. Like, it's going to kill the cancer. It's also going to kill the good stuff. I just kind of assume that everyone at some point or another will be used as an instrument. So I just don't condone violence across the board. Fuck off. Yeah.
I've said this a long time. The more that a government relies on informant operations and undercover operations, the more tyrannical they are.
Yeah.
And literally the only thing the FBI does anymore is informant and undercover operations. You just have to know that it's always there and make sure that you're never going to fall in that trap. And if I'm only hanging out with guys I know and we're only talking about things that we all agree on, I'm not going to get in trouble like that. And I don't meet, just like you, I don't meet with people I don't know. So, or have those conversations with them. If I meet a guy for the first time and he's like, hey, you know what? I think maybe we should kidnap the governor. I'm like, sorry, bro. Have a nice day. I'm going to get in my car and drive away now.
You said fuck right off.
Yeah. So I had this group call me up and ask me to come out and train our group of friends on self-defense, because that's one of the things that I do. So, all right, cool. No problem. I get there. Literally everyone's in camo. And I'm like, son of this is Michigan. And it's one of those groups, right? So very smartly, I had charged an exorbitant rate because I try to discourage those kind of groups. So I begin the entire day. I'm like, hold on, before anyone asks me any questions or we talk about anything, I'm going to say for the federal agent among you, I'm not going to discuss this topic, that topic, this topic, this topic, and I don't support any of that. What I just did is just ruin any case they attempt to build thereafter, right? Hey, don't even waste your time because I'm not that guy. And everyone laughs and everything. And I go, no, y'all think I'm kidding. I'm serious. Among this group of people, there's an FBI informant somewhere. And this guy comes up to me later and he goes, those guys all thought you were talking about me. I said, I was. And then he just walked away.
Yeah.
So I'm not falling for those kind of traps. And it's really sad that they exist at the level they do, but they do.
Yeah. But at the same time, you can kind of just like bleach it though. Like I just, like every Sunday, I clean like my bathroom. I just like spray some Windex and clean it. I don't think there's anything there, but I don't know. Just figure it's probably good hygiene to just clean it. Where I'm shitting and pissing and brushing my teeth, it's probably good hygiene to just clean it. I don't think there's anything there, but I'll just nuke it with bleach because what do I care? That's kind of my logic.
That's a good call.
I don't care if. So the podcast will start. I'll be like, yeah, and by the way, I don't condone this, and this is not about Tommy's podcast. This person speaks for themselves. What were you saying? It's just like 99% of the time they're like, that was weird. But every once in a while, you're just someone that's just going, well, fuck. Now I can't do the thing. It's just, but then it's weird because like summer 2020, I did have on a former Secret Service EOD guy who was like kind of drunk. And I think he was going through a divorce. And he just started he goes, it is weird how there's no more like bombs from the riots. And I was like, that is weird. Like if the riots are as bad as they are, and they were, you think he's like, because it's pretty easy. I mean, all you have to do is like, if you just go to Home Depot, and I was like, and he started, I was like, I don't condone this. I was like,
Pause.
I don't get, and he kept going, and I haven't heard from him since. I think it really was just a dude who kind of had one too many beers and was just letting it out. But like, I was very clear to be like, I don't condone what he's, because it was like the midst of the George Floyd riots, and he was like,
Yeah.
you gotta get some like paint thinner, a little bit acetone, like you gotta get like an aerosolized. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And I was like,
Right.
I was maybe only like
a guy. There's a guy sitting in jail for teaching people how to make IEDs. So yeah, it's probably best not have that.
I think there's also, you know, that meme. I think it's like a World War II meme, and it's probably based on nothing, but who cares? Where it was like, it's like you can like predict like the Soviets because of their like, I don't know, like the top down centralized control. It's like you can predict like the Wehrmacht movements because it's all like highly precise and organized. Like you can predict what the Japanese will do because it's all based on the radical nature. And it was like, we can't predict what the Americans are going to do because even they don't know what they're doing. That's kind of my logic with this podcast.
This is
like, you can't predict where this is going or guide it into a certain way, because it's truly based on what I just want to talk about at the time. I'll go from having on guys talking about, you know, how to build bombs and how the Secret Service sweeps from, and then I'll just get really interested in like laser printers. And for like 2 weeks, I'll just have on a guy talking about like nanometer laser printers and how to ablate like the ink on like craft beer companies when they like press their unique art onto things. And you can't guide it away from that, because when I want to talk about that, that's just what I'm talking about. That's just right. Some people will be like, well, you should focus on one thing. And like, I've had on, you know, people talking about, you know, justifying Russia's moves. But then I interviewed like a guy in his truck, like right after he fled from Ukraine. And like Tommy, you're kind of giving credence to the other side. I'm like, I personally don't give a shit. I'm just interested. I just want to see every aspect of it.
Well, here's the thing about that, and that's a great point, because you're allowing raw, unfiltered data out, and that's the problem. The left doesn't like raw, unfiltered data. So some of my clients in the protection world are reporters, and they're the independent guys who just go around and collect raw video at these events. Every one of them began somewhere around 2016-ish as a leftist. And they went to these events and started recording just raw video of Antifa in action and Black Lives Matter in action. And what happened was Antifa and Black Lives Matter began attacking them. Ford Fisher was this way, several other people. It even happened to Tim Pool. They all got pushed to the right by people attacking them and not wanting raw, unfiltered video to get out, because that casts them in the negative light, or not in a light they want to be cast in. I'm a firm believer, just like you did, of the disinfectant, right? Sunlight is a great disinfectant.
Let it rip.
Raw video and raw data is the way to go, because that's where the truth lies.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like that.
You also have to remove your own allegiances, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that's also the end of free thought. So like, if there's raw data that will come out and go like, hey man, this shows that, you know, Trump was actually like a CIA asset. As much, you know, the Mark Twain quote, right? It's easier to fool a man than convince a man to be fooled. You kind of have to just pop that cherry and go, it sucks to feel like you got duped and to know you got duped, right? It sucks when you find out like your girlfriend was cheating on you. You're like, Jesus, I really did believe that she wasn't. It sucks, but just kind of pull that Band-Aid off. And when you can remove your own allegiances, it allows the flow of truth to be that much easier, because you truly don't have an agenda or an emotional or a pride ego-based thing on, well, what if I'm wrong about Russia? What if I'm wrong? I have on Dr. Malone and Dr. McCullough all the time. Maybe tomorrow it comes out that they work for Fauci. I'd go, well, that really sucks. And I feel like I got taken advantage of. Anyway, I'm going to talk to Joe Dolio today. Like, just move forward. So like,
right.
That's kind of why I just have this like blanket nuke approach. I'm like, just shed light on all of it. Let's see where the chips fall. Who knows?
Hey, what's funny is that then other people start to assign negative motives to you. So we do a show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday called Future Conflict, where we talk about Ukraine and Russia and China and Taiwan and all these things. and we show both sides. We are not one of these rah Slava Ukraini people, and we're also not rah Russia is in the
Russia's
right.
taking on the New World Order.
Yeah, Russia's on a Christian crusade. We're not on any of that. So what we do is we say, hey, here's Ukraine committing war crimes, but here's Russia committing war crimes. So we've been called everything from CIA assets to Mossad assets to KGB assets and everything in between, because people don't like sunlight. They want you to apply a filter for them that matches what they already believe.
Yeah.
And what we're getting a lot of when we do this show is people are like, hey, man, we're not getting these same stories anywhere else. But then I went and checked, and what you said was actually true. That's really what happened in that little village. Well, that's the whole point of it. We want you to know what really happened so you can make your own decision. The other sides, right and left, want to make the decision for you and tell you what to think. We're just going to tell you what happened, and we're going to tell you the truth of it and let you decide what you're going to do. It's pretty simple.
And then there's also that sort of disillusioning moment when you realize that your quote unquote side is also guilty of shit. When you're like, I'll get kicked off YouTube and I'll be like, man, fuck these people. Like, I'm for free speech. And people will be like, hell yeah. And you're like, yeah, I do want to interview the doctors. Let's see what they're saying. What happened in the 2020 election? Was COVID made in the lab? What really is the VAERS data? And people are like, yeah. And then I'll bring someone on that's like, giving a defense of Ukraine, and they'll be like, Tommy, fuck this. And I'll be like, no. You came here because you liked the free speech. And then you realize, oh no, you just liked the free speech that was conveniently against the left. Much like, oh, I'm sure there are things I could say that would probably bring leftist people aboard. And then when I applied that same everything goes mentality, they go, but don't talk about, BLM fatalities. And I'd be like, well, I thought you were for the. So that's another thing you have to kind of realize is like the people that are like conveniently aligned with you, they're aligned with you because in this moment, your free speech and unfiltered lens is aligning with what they like. But I tried to get Dr. Fauci on here, and I wasn't going to be secretary said no, but it wasn't going to be some ambush thing.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. Pull my pants down. Yeah. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me what's wrong with McCullough. Tell me what's wrong with Malone. I don't give a shit. If you're right, you're right. Like, and people don't like, you can't give airtime to Anthony Fauci, which one, I'm like, guys, don't assume I'm going to get him on. Like, come on, I love the podcast, but let's be very honest. I'm not turning down Anthony Fauci. Like, but try to get people on and explain to me why this, why that. Explain to me why Trump is bad. Okay. If you can show that he was like on Epstein's plane, fuck him. You're a pedophile. You have to remove all of your. You can't. Where in most things in life, you do have to dig in your heels and, firmly plant your stance.
Yeah.
There are also places where that's the exact opposite of what you want. You want no roots. You want no calcification. You want to constantly be stirring the stew so that it doesn't coagulate. Just let it all flow.
Tommy's a wordsmith.
Who knew? Not all, it's one thing I'll say about those Nazis. They're bad people. They can talk. They can hold a room. He can fly and and then
that is the one thing I did appreciate about Azov. They knew how to keep the civilians safe by not letting them leave the city.
Hey, you know what? Say what you will about ISIS. They understand multimedia. They get cropping. They get good audio. They understand you got to have a soundtrack. You got to constantly change the position of the cameras. They get it. They know what it is.
Oh, speaking of that, I
need to talk about clickbait thumbnails. I mean, ISIS takes the cake.
I want to know, and maybe with your vast experience of talking to people from various backgrounds,
would you be interested in assembling some weapons and riding on DC with me, Tom? Could we talk about this?
Would you be interested in driving a Ryder truck and not knowing what's in the back?
Would you be interested?
The question is, why is it that it appears that people in the Ukraine are physically incapable of taking their camera from portrait and turning it in landscape when making video? Do you have any input on that?
Is it all portrait?
Yeah, it's all portrait, and it's got those bars on either side.
Well, then to me, that would actually kind of lend credence. That actually makes me kind of stand with Ukraine, because to me, that says that's an actual shocked person taking a video, as opposed to this is Patriot front, because you're ready for it. This is more like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? You know what?
No, Patriot front has it clipped to their issued body armor, right?
Patriot Front has it clipped in here, and it's
yeah.
and you can use this. You know how I know Patriot Front's a bunch of faggots is because they had graffitiing stencil where it said patriotfront.com. That's not hardcore. That's not some. That's not malicious shit. That's not hardcore. You know, if you're the Resistance, if you're the Minutemen, it's Fight Club. It's not like check out our flyers, scan our RFID thing. Yeah. Sorry, but I don't have an answer.
Scan our barcode to go to our website, which is really just
FBI
Nazi manifesto.
Oh, or an FBI doc. You just reroutes to FBI.gov.
Well, seriously, if you, I'm serious. If you compare what they're wearing to the issued gear list for the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia, same stuff.
So then you have to take it one step further and go, is it like Klaus, where it is so obvious? That is this like a psyop within a psyop? Is it hyper normalization to go, let's make it so clearly a Fed operation that it drives people like us nuts?
Yeah, I think that is exactly like I said before. So Patriot Front isn't pointed at you and me, it's pointed at those guys, and they think that's how we all act. Klaus, whatever his name is, Klaus Schwab, is pointed at you and me because that's what we think of supervillain looks like.
Yeah.
And it's just it's so,
but it's weird because he's an old white guy with money. You think that would be like our hero and that would be the enemy of the left, right? If they really wanted to sell the World Economic Forum, it'd be a 600 or 700 pound woman with fluorescent blue hair.
Wow, that's a solid point.
You know,
but that's selling it to them, not to you and me.
No, that's selling it to us as that is the enemy.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Klaus Schwab is literally the
that doesn't. Yeah, that's another thing. Is so what I meant about like Patriot Front though is like, yeah, they're selling it to the left because that's how they. But and maybe I'm looking too into it, but it feels like there's like a psyop against us as well. It's so absurd.
Like, has anyone ever looked into what Klaus Schwab did in the 40s?
I think his dad was a Nazi. His mom was a Rothschild. Then he trained under Henry Kissinger. So you know, pretty normal shit.
So he was hanging with George Soros then. I mean, we're pretty sure.
Well, I don't know. Klaus is in his 80s now. So no, I think he was a wee little lad when they were shipping Jews off in train cars. I'm trying to think. What I mean about the Patriot Front thing is it's kind of like, and this is maybe where it is tinfoil, but it's almost like complete disillusionment with like they don't even have to hide. It's like I get what you're saying. Like they're painting it as this because this is what the left thinks we are, and we're going the fuck. Every right wing person I know looks at it and goes, "This is ridiculous." They look at Patriot Front, and they're like, "Is this?" They're like, "Is this a skit? Is this like a?" It's so clearly feds, but then it makes you think. Well, then now we're taking it from like FBI to almost like CIA level, like psyops, where it's like, no, let them know we know they know. Where it's just clearly they're all wearing like Fed issued shit. It's meant to like break your mind. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do the math and keep up, but yes.
But do you know what I'm saying? It'd be like if they filmed the video and like in like a reflection on the wall, you could see like the CIA seal. It'd be meant to just break your spirit.
You know, that's exactly the way I feel about this alleged January 6th bomber where the bombs never went off, right? We got this guy literally looks like the Unabomber right down to the hoodie and glasses who walks up to the DNC headquarters and sets a bomb. And he walks up to the RNC headquarters and sets a bomb and nobody can find the guy. They can find a grandma who was on the property for less than 4 minutes, who lives 36 states away. They found her in like 10 minutes. But they can't find this bomber. That's because he's on the 7th floor of the CIA, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's just weird. And again, that wasn't pointed at you and me because we're like, that's totally a Fed. Look at him. He's a Fed.
Yeah.
But to the left, no, this is crazy dudes. This crazy white dudes who look a lot like Tommy.
Yeah. But if you really wanted to like break the mind of someone, you would make it so that even the guys on the right, you move from like laughing at like, oh, Patriot Front's clearly a Fed op to be like, oh, they want us to know it's a Fed op and it's to break your spirit to go like, yeah, nothing matters.
I don't doubt that one bit. I don't know that one bit. And I was actually surprised. I predicted that when all of the abortion protests started to happen, that we would see Patriot Front confront them and take some action.
Oh, yeah, I'm surprised that didn't happen. That's a good point.
I'm waiting for I think when the decision actually comes out, Patriot Front's going to make a magic reappearance.
I think there's going to be a new group. I think there's going to be a new group.
You think
It's
so?
going to be so over the top. It's going to be like Holy Roman Empire, like, very, because Patriot Front's all America. They're going to make something very Christian based.
Saving
That's my
the
prediction.
West.
That's
Yeah.
my prediction. It would be, so just prediction, Saturday, June 4th, 2022.
Although,
that's my
as
prediction.
I'm looking at you, I'm imagining him to he's put a white thing over his face and a hat.
You
Are you sure you're not in one of the Patriot Front videos already?
Isn't it a little weird?
Yeah, pull out the cross. Yeah.
Isn't it a little weird that Tommy's sitting here talking about how absurd? Isn't it weird how he just started this podcast 2 years ago, and he started the day COVID got to the United States, December 12th, 2019. Isn't that odd?
So listen, when this new group does appear, I'm going to tell everyone that you predicted it and that you're probably the leader.
I'm probably, what would be fucking amazing?
Just put your badge on the table now, Tommy. I mean,
it would be, I know I could never be a Fed because the special forces guys I've become friends with would kill me themselves for betraying. Like, I've made the mistake of becoming friends with like guys in the CIA Special Activities Division. The guys that are sent out to assassinate, they're going to be the ones that I've asked them. I'm like, hey, if you ever just get like an encrypted email paid in Bitcoin to like take me out, I'll be like, can you just tell me so I can like say bye to my mom? Like, because the guys that are going out to kill are those are the guys that do the stuff that doesn't get declassified. It never happened.
Right.
I'm friends with a couple of them.
Yeah.
It's a very bold move. Because now if they ever wanted to hang out, I would actually, because I have hung out with them before. They're funny, cool guys. I wouldn't question it in the slightest. Whereas if you or anybody, if one of the 100 members of Ground Branch, the most elite assassin service in the world, just was like, hey, do you want to go hang out in the woods, shoot guns? You'd be like, fuck right off.
Yeah, no.
But I'm like, yeah, like we did the last couple times. It's fun. And like, they'd kill me there. So like, it's like, whereas one, you might go, you say you would never be an informant until the federal government shows up and applies pressure. Well, I'm friends with the guys that the federal government sends to kill people. So like, I'm less concerned with your bomb, and I'm more concerned with these guys' A bomb. I'm like, no, they have no qualms because they'll take down political leaders in denied territory. They'll fucking put a bomb on my shitty Civic tomorrow if they ever found out that I was. So that's kind of my thing. I'm like, I can't.
It's more of that mutual assured destruction.
I was about to say it's mutual assured destruction because it's not.
On.
Yeah. But I was thinking, it'd be amazing.
What's that?
Is if Patriot Front really was organic. I know it's not.
Honestly
and I know
that would be amazing because I kind of am very much against their ideology.
No. I'm amazing in the same sense. That's like what Norm Macdonald said. It's kind of crazy that Germany, a country the size of the state of Maine, wanted to take over the world, and they almost did it. It's not good what they did, but in terms of just remove all sides and biases, just in terms of objective hilarity, not to discount, the 85 million dead in World War II. It is kind of funny that like a country the size of the state of Maine almost took over. Like, that's not funny. So in the same way, if like Patriot Front actually were like a bunch of guys that just out psyoped the psyopers, and they're like, get it, we're all going to spend 2 years before we make our appearance. We're all going to have matching physiques, no one overweight, keto diet.
I'm going to tell you, you blew my mind with that point because I've been sitting here thinking about it since you said it, and you are 100% right. There's like a less than 2% deviation in their body weight.
Yeah. It's absurd enough that they're all fit, but just the fact that there's no deviation at all, even if they were all identically fat, that would still be odd.
Yeah.
The unwavering, it just seems like guidelines provided by an agency. Like,
and not one dude with a full beard or any abnormality.
Yeah. I mean, they all look like guys that would, show
like
up in the windbreakers. Yeah. So, but again, nothing would be more hilarious than if Patriot
it was real.
It was just some actually fucking rednecks.
If it was just Tommy and his friends hanging out.
Just some guys with 300 IQs that were like, we are going to wear what feds would wear.
Yeah.
We are going to all be matching BMI. And we are going to be so over the top, anti-government. What if the Fed was like,
it totally can't be true because here's
No,
the thing.
of
In
course
the same
not.
week in which
yeah.
the federal government said Patriot groups are using these Baofeng radios, all of a sudden Patriot Front's like, check out our radios, guys. And they got a Baofeng radio in their hand. And it's
What
like,
radio?
seriously? Baofeng is Chinese radios that everyone uses.
Baofeng.
Yeah, I have one somewhere nearby, but
Oh, you have one? Mr. Patriot Front.
almost everyone has one. Yeah, I'm in the I'm the leader of the Patriot
I know
Front.
have one.
You found me out, bro.
They're like, you have one. I'm like, oh, I guess you're right. But to me, like that would just, I don't know, there's just this like, it's like how some places are just like, like with the Soviet Union forever before like U-2 overflights, it was just like, it was a black hole of information. Like, we would drop Tim Weiner, I think is his name, Weiner, CIA Legacy of Ashes, talks about just like the endless like OSS and then like the early CIA paramilitary guys we just were thrown over the board or over the Iron Curtain, and just no one would ever come back. It was just a black hole of intelligence. There's just kind of like a funny idea in my mind of like, even when you get to the uppermost echelons of the government and they're like, dude, even we don't know what's in Area 51. If they like talk to you and they're like, and you know what, we also can't crack? Fucking Patriot Front. We're working with the Chinese to try to infiltrate. They think it's us. We thought it was them. They don't know who it is. What do you think? What do you think Putin went into Ukraine for? They're trying to find the servers about Patriot Front.
I've got an idea. Azov.
Whoa. If Azov was, well, then what starts to make you think?
Yeah.
If we're sitting here and making fun of how just hilariously obvious, and I know, hey, I just realized I kept you way over an hour. If you got to go, let me know. But I look at like Patriot Front. If we're sitting here talking about how absurd it is, do we not have to apply that same lens to Azov? Like, are we not seeing what we want to see? Stupid liberals falling for the Nazis? Like, isn't that also, doesn't it kind of seem like we're biting the bait?
No, I agree with you on that. But then I look at the videos of their actual behavior and I'm like, oh no, those dudes really are Nazis. I mean,
like, oh wait, they did burn that guy tied to a cross. You're like,
yeah, burning people alive.
I mean, if that's a Fed front, that's committed.
Yeah,
that's committed.
It's committed to the grift, right?
Yeah.
So I sort of do have to go, but
yeah,
I want to ask you for I do have one request. We're supposed to do a show tomorrow, so if you could let Don out of the basement and make sure he changes out of the thong, it would really help.
I can't let that happen. The last time I let Don out of the basement, I got a concussion and ended up in the emergency room.
Oh,
that was 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to think of a way to tie this into Patriot Front. I will say I wonder what I kind of wonder what I'm classified in. I mean, I'm sure it's just domestic terrorist is like what I'm classified as in the government. But like summer 2020, I called Northrop Grumman and I want someone to come on my podcast and talk about the B-21 Raider, the successor to the B-2 Spirit.
Yeah.
A special access program nuclear bomber. And the woman teared me up on the phone. It was basically like, who the fuck? And I remember because I had just interviewed a B-2 Spirit pilot, Brigadier General Robert Spalding, who was in Obama's National Security Council. And I remember asking him, I sent him an email. I was like, was this stupid? He goes, they absolutely thought you were like a Chinese probe. And I was like, God, he's like, I'm just assuming, but that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Like later that summer, I tried to get in touch with General Nakazone, the head of the NSA.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I'd love to have you on. And I was like, I'm not some crazy liberal. I was like, I just want to talk about supercomputers and encryption. And they're like, General Nakazone declines at this time. I tried the same thing with like Leon Panetta and George Bush and General Mattis. I never got a response from Putin. I wonder what I am classified as. I wonder if they think I'm a psyop, or is this just my own ego thinking, what do you mean? What do they think of you? They're not thinking of you.
They think you're Vladimir Putin's nephew. Because that's what I get all the time, that I'm some sort of a Russian shill or a Putin apologist, because I say, hey, listen, if you actually look at Vladimir Putin's cause for war, it makes a lot of sense and he's got some good points. Oh, you're a Putin apologist. No, I'm a historical apologist and he's not wrong. His entire history lesson speech he gave was pretty legit. Doesn't mean that it's okay to go in and kill people. But he raised some good points. He's warned us about NATO, and we've done it. But you mentioned the good general there. Him coming out and just saying we are conducting offensive cyber attacks on Russia is just dumb, because now Russia has to do something.
Yeah. And everyone's like, why would he say that? You're supposed to keep it quiet. Yeah, he's not fucking stupid. They said it on purpose.
Exactly. It was a well-scripted statement meant to
The
tell Russia.
head of the NSA doesn't just let secrets out. But the guy from the institution built inside a literal Faraday cage at Fort Meade, that guy doesn't come out and just have loose lips and goes, hey, guys, we're...
Oops.
Oopsie. You don't just come out and go, yeah, I guess we're going to do this, right? No, they know. Like, Truman didn't say to Stalin at Yalta or whatever the fuck, hey, we have a new bomb with incredible power. That wasn't loose lips. That was meant to intimidate the Russians.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well,
right on.
I don't know what we established here. I think the gig's up, guys. I am Patriot Front. I am. The thing is like,
we did establish that.
You think Patriot Front would try to deny me?
No, you do meet the demographic.
But the thing is, like, everything I talk about, they wouldn't like. But I don't think they could reject. They're so comically what they are, and what they are is just what I naturally look like.
Well, they would love to have somebody. They would love to have a big name like you amongst their ranks. Oh, we got Tommy Carrigan instead of Nick Fuentes or whatever. You know,
I would co-opt them and turn it into an exclusively.
Dude, we may need to run an op here.
I would turn it into an exclusively furry, a furry, anal-centric awareness group. And I would see how far they're willing to push the psyop. I'd say, guys, this is 2022. It's Pride Month. We got to get out in front of this. Human centipede.
And on that note,
humans, they're looking at me. They're going, fuck. He's good. Patriot Front, if you're listening, please send me a free windbreaker. I don't need to tell you my address. You probably have it. I'd love one of those FBI windbreakers. You fucking cocksuckers. All right, man. Thank you so much. I'll send you this when it's up. I'd love to do it again. I will not let Dawn out of my basement.
All right, my man. This was actually a good job.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Hey, please send me the links to all your stuff on Twitter, and I'll send it in whatever you want. I'll just copy and paste it and throw it in the description.
Coolio. I'll do that.
All right. Slava Ukraine.
Slava Ukraini, my man. All right.